you and me. Huh?
You got my note, I hope. My email.
I'm not sure I did.
I sent an email yesterday morning with a little paragraph.
Thank you. And I didn't see it, but it's good to know it's there. I'm going to be fixing the minutes after this meeting anyway.
I sent it yesterday morning.
Yeah, thank you.
They don't do a Zoom. Do they put this on Zoom? And the Zoom, because she makes the recording just separate from the Zoom for the town hall. Yeah, because she does.
Combination of issues. Some of it is the committee. What I found was that my voice was clear all the time, but that one wasn't. I don't know where the point is. The microphone or the combination.
Generally, my voice generally carries.
Yeah. But it helps them speak really close to the mic. And when that was happening, it was okay. When it wasn't, any of these, it was an issue. So,
Was Ed at this?
Ed was not at the last meeting. He's not going to be here today.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Very good.
And I haven't heard from Mason or Barrington. So we'll
Well,
see.
we need one of them for a forum, don't
We
we?
need one more here before we can move on. And it is 9:30.
Yes, it is.
Well, we'll give it a professorial few minutes.
I always like, I go to the bond club meeting. I like what Bonnie says. She says, it's 7:00. I did not report those today. We're starting. You know, but I think it's here too.
Well,
You can still have a meeting, you just can't enact business.
but part of the meeting today needs to be reviewing the agenda and the minutes because there's just,
Well, I'm here and I'd like to speak. So I would like, if you decide to do so, to have a meeting, declare it is open, and you can enact business, but you have things to say. So it's the call. How about that? Or a possible.
sounds good.
Considering those of us who,
I'm still hopeful of another couple of people showing up. Ed's not. I haven't heard from Arrington or Mason. So we need one of them.
to enact business.
So
And I think Savannah was supposed to be asked today too, wasn't she?
well, she's supposed to come, but she almost never has.
No, I know, she was supposed to be specifically asked to talk about the, not the team, but specifically asked to come and talk about process of getting wording changed.
you. I'm gonna say, I was really thrown for a loop by not having
It's not, if you look,
a quality,
pardon?
not having a quality of recording that reminded me of things. The first or second item of business is to get people's input on what I missed in the minutes.
Monday better than Tuesday or Wednesday better than Tuesday. It seemed like
Last time I did that, everybody said this is the best day.
overall, it seemed like every month, for the last 3 months, Mason hadn't been here.
No, that's not true. He was here last month.
Been so long, it seems like it's been 2 months since the last meeting that having an extra week just felt, usually it just seems so quick, 4 weeks.
In particular, February is a short month.
Like they didn't show up to that thing on Sunday, that tree walk thing.
Minutes.
They made him pretty good about saying if he's not gonna be here or not.
Yeah, he is.
Angie said, you guys can hold a meeting, you just can't hold those.
I know that.
Very in or two.
Meeting with this many people out doesn't accomplish a whole lot either.
I still think it would be appropriate to have not just maybe a 5 minute.
I'm gonna start.
Yes.
What I'm just gonna say is I'm gonna start putting in the places where people, who was listing the people who were absent
Yes.
and the people who were late.
And then you started the meeting such as Dr. China, like, and you can also put in, she excused me.
We haven't done that, but that's another level, you know.
It's a fair level. As you can tell.
It probably should be preceded by some conversation about the need for
As
it.
you wish you want to.
Well,
Another minute, maybe 9:40.
okay, those of us in the room will maybe hear this a couple of more times through the course of the meeting, but I'm going to remind everybody to speak into the mic. Because part of the sound problem is that we all have an issue to turn our heads away from the mic and et cetera, so that it doesn't really pick it up. And if you can't hear the reverberation that comes from when you're close to the mic, then it's probably not recording well. So just remember that, and I may remind all of us when I notice we're not doing it. So my watch says 9:30, almost 8. And I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. So let's just take a moment of silent reflection. Okay. So where things stand at the moment is that we have 2 members of the board here and 1 member of the general public, and we don't have enough board members for a quorum. But we're going to go ahead and have a meeting such as we can, talk about the things that make sense to talk about. And the issue is, the law is that without a quorum, we can't make decisions. So you look at the agenda. Everybody has an agenda. I may have to do this again, but as I said before the meeting, the sound quality was horrendous this last time. We rely on the ability to hear a recording to be able to do notes, and there's lots of things that could not be done. So one thing I'm asking for this meeting is talking into the mic, but let's also take some time to look at, first of all, the agenda and then the minutes, and see what we notice is not there, whether there's things that are missing in particular or errors that are there. I think it's more a question of missing information because the conversation online was just not legible, not audible. You could hear it, but you couldn't understand it. So I asked Mary beforehand, because I knew it would be an issue, if she would prepare a summary of the public comments since last month, that her comments were the public comments, and she sent them to me and I failed to look for them. So I'm assuming that they've got them here, and I will find them and include them with the final official notice of the minutes of last month. So thanks to Mary for doing that, and my apologies for not picking up on it. Um, what I've got here for the business for today and the agenda is what I can remember. There might be some old business stuff that was missing. Does anybody have any recollection of things that should be here, ongoing with the old minutes, with the agenda that we should look at? Hearing none, we'll move on. We'll do the best we can with this, and I'll be working to catch things up as it should be. Minutes, same situation with minutes. I think they're in a little bit better shape, but again, whether now or later you see an issue with the minutes from today, if you could let me know, and I'll make sure that I'll make corrections. Since we don't have a quorum right now anyway, if we don't get a quorum during the course of the meeting, then we'll have to come back to the April minutes next month. Okay. So that brings us to public comments.
Thank you, Mary Stander, 118 Shenandoah Terrace, and thank you for going ahead and convening, and I'll make my public comments and then I will slip out and y'all can continue if you so choose or close the meeting after that. But I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I thank you, and it's with some degree of frustration that you're unable to have a quorum and enact business for that. So given that, I'd like to thank the treasure. I'd make a comment on the treasured tree walk that took place last month. Ed Kramer had a large part in putting that together. Tyler was there representing the tree board and was on the walk. It was well attended by 40 to 50 people and extremely well done by the group that puts that together. So I want to compliment everybody who was involved in that.
I think the name of that group is Swannanoa Tree Alliance or something like that.
I would double check with Ed Kramer to get it exact.
Me too.
For that.
I'm saying it so they'll remember to do that. So pardon me for interrupting you.
Oh, no. This is rather informal, so we might speak. But glad to do that. But to have that in the record and highlighted would be wonderful, and to have a chance to participate, Joe and I, it was very reassuring. I will save my comments on the right-of-way issue, which I have brought these comments several times to the tree board, and we'll save that for the time when there is a full quorum for that. Okay, so again, thank you for being here. Sorry there's not a quorum. Otherwise, I'd be at home in my pajamas, and that can go in the record. Not a problem for me. But again, thank you too for being here, and I will excuse myself. Thank you.
Okay. What was I going to say? It left me. Okay. Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate it. Okay, so making notes here. So reports, it seems like Arbor Day was so long ago, but it was within the time frame that the today's meeting covers, sort of. And Mary's comment that the walk went well. I didn't attend myself, but that was my understanding. One thing that impacted our participation in the meeting was in the tree day, in the plant sale / Arbor Day, was that I don't understand what all happened. I was really looking forward to a more robust presence of the Swannanoa Tree Alliance, which didn't materialize. There were some good reasons that they couldn't do what they had planned to do, but they did reschedule this walk later in the week, and that went well. I do think that it would be a good thing over time for us to find ways of building a relationship with the Tree Alliance. It's apparently what functions as a tree board in Black Mountain without actually being called that. Yeah, I think they're a going business. They're active as a group, and I think connecting with them would give us some energy here in Montreat as well. We talked about the GIS mapping software, and I've been made just a little bit of progress. We do have, if you dig into the stuff that the town has on the web, we have some maps that have been done using the GIS software. There was a time when there was an intern here who had the skills and did that. That was when we did our first inventory. So there's some stuff that is existing, and my intention, which I haven't followed through with, is to connect with our town manager and ask her about the use of GIS, and make sure that she at least would be on board with an effort to make a more systematic use of mapping. Now, my idea is that trees and perhaps other plants or even fungi that we find around town, if we put those on a map, over time we would be able to build a map that had some relevance to our work. We could see what kinds of trees there are. Certain fungi are generally related to certain trees or certain plants, and the health of the soil, and particularly the health of the fungi in the soil, is something that we should be interested in. Would you mind closing the door there? I'm going to keep on talking for just a moment, but using the GIS mapping and getting in the habit of getting people to give us coordinates for significant things. We could have a map of the treasured trees. We could have a map of other significant individual plants, and we could continue with the project of mapping trees along the right-of-ways of the town, because those are the ones that this board is primarily concerned for. We could also be work with the other groups in town that are looking at the use of certain public lands, the ones that are right-of-way of the town or owned by the town, but are not necessarily developed in any kind of way. There has periodically been a talk about making pocket parks. And I think that that's an idea that we as a tree board worked with other groups in towns. We could start developing towards having some areas set aside for public enjoyment as parks with walking trails, for example. So that's about all as chair have to say. Arrington is not here at this time. Town manager is not here. Public Works is not here. Commissioner Representative Mason is not here. So the other people that would specifically normally give a report are not here to do so. That brings us down to the other at-large members, of which I'm one. Ed Kramer is out of town, and I don't know if I said, but I have not heard from Arrington about this, which brings us down to Tyler Smith. So, do you have things you need to tell us?
Well, a week and a half ago, I attended the tree Wananoa walkthrough.
The treasure tree? The treasure tree thing you did?
It was interesting to see the plaques that were on the tree throughout Montreat, and the amount of people that were really interested in all the things that was going on around. Know that in the next couple of months they're wanting to do another area around Montreat, looking to see what tree could get plaqued and worked on. And luckily, with all the bad winds we had in the last month and a half, that haven't had any trees falling like it was in Black Mountain and other places. So right now we're keeping the trees trimmed and cut back.
Yeah, I agree. Things are much better than they were when I first moved here. It seemed like trees were falling all the time, and it seemed like a really risky business for property as well as individual safety. Pardon me. Sorry. But since we did the inventory and took out a number of trees that were identified then as being diseased or dead, and we've had, even in bad windstorms, and this most recent windstorm was probably the worst wind I've experienced here in the last 6 or 7 years, actually. It was really fierce. But the amount of trees down, the amount of damage done by things coming down, although we lost power for a few hours.
Tree on the house.
It was relatively minor stuff. There was a locust tree across the creek from my property, sort of near the banks of the tree, where the top 30 feet or more came out of the tree and is still laying there across the creek, kind of blocking the creek. I've talked to Barry about it, and he and his crews will get to it eventually whenever it works in with their schedules. But I really agree that we're doing a lot better than we have in the past. but it's something that needs to have continual attention. And I know that Mason spends time going around with Barry looking at trees that need addressing. You do some of that, don't you? Yeah. So with everybody kind of paying attention, I think we're doing what we need to be doing. So let's see here. Discussion on question right of way. Okay, the right of way issue will need to be postponed again until next month. Okay, so, and we don't really have old business, so to speak, today. I had put a couple of items as new business, which are things that we need to do. They're not new to us, but they're things that come around periodically. So I'm going to mention them now, and so we can have it on the agenda for the next meeting. But I'll also send a note to other committee members. First of all, review and update tree management guide. There's this document that you can find on the town website called Tree Management Guide. It has a lot of information for people that live in Montreat or have property in Montreat about what to do with trees that are on their property. There's some of the rules about what can be planted and what cannot be cut down without checking with the town, and things like that are there in that. It's it's a small booklet, but it's got a lot of good information in it. We have the responsibility of reviewing that, and it has been a few years since we actually took a close look at it. So one thing I'm saying to the board here is that it's time we looked at it again. I will make sure that everybody gets a copy in their hand to read, and that'll be the start of reviewing it in some detail. Another document that we have is the one that governs us. Of late, there's been some questions about whether there should not be some changes in the tree ordinance. It's not really clear to me what exactly we might be able to do, but I think it's something that needs attention. There have been concerns about that have been brought to us about I'm blanking here. In part, it relates to the right-of-way issues. There's a question in my mind about how closely the town looks at things that are happening with trees. There is a limit on what we're able to do in terms of people's trees that are on people's private property. But I think the whole question about management of trees on properties and next to private, in town right of way next to private property, and private trees next to town property, you know, I think there might be some ways that we can craft the language of the tree ordinance to enhance the safety factors in general. I'm also myself in favor of developing the management of trees in the town so that we are not overgrown, so the trees can be, you know, systematically managed so that there's a natural, there, you know, several layers of canopy trees and understory trees and shrubs and things going down the list. I think there's a way to manage those things so that things are not cluttered up. And that's an issue with fire as well. I think we should be looking at rhododendrons and laurel. Those are pretty plants. They have nice flowers, but there are places where they're growing so thick. Both of those plants are very flammable. And so having very flammable plants that are near structures, for example, is probably a big risk. So I think that that whole issue is something that we should be looking at. But I will, since we don't have board members here today to begin discussion about these issues, what I'll do is to craft a little note to the entire board and send out a tree management guide and also tree ordinance to everyone so that we can start looking at it and talking about it. Changing either one of those things is a process where we need to do our homework and make our decisions. Some of it must get passed on to the town council. You know, it's not up to us to make the decisions, but we could maybe suggest changes where we think they're needed. One thing that I also did not mention, talking about the tree management guide, there's a section in the tree management guide that has never been written called planting plan, you know, town's plan for planting trees. Since we have so many trees, it's hard to think about planting them, but we still need to think about what could and should be done. Are there trees that we want to see flourishing in here, and maybe we should find a way of getting them planting? What do we happen when a tree comes down and there's open space? Do we leave it open, or do we, in some cases, we may need to replace it, things like that. If we want to keep a natural balance, do we have a good balance of the types of trees that are in there? And are they in the natural places that they should be? So I'll follow up with a note to the board about these issues, but those are the things that I am thinking it's about time that we're starting thinking about as a board when this will be an ongoing conversation through the rest of the year. So I think in view of the fact that we don't have a quorum, that's about all that can be done. Tyler, do you have any things you wanted to talk about?
Not really, I guess, just like you said, once we get the board on hand to be able to talk about all the stuff that we need to talk about but can't vote on or whatever until more people are in the room. I guess that'd be it until June meeting.
Okay, so it is 7 minutes after 10, and we've had nobody else join us. We've done what we can, so I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you.